Mike Dell's World, number 154 for March 23rd, 2010. And I'm in the mobile studio here, just currently located in Acme, Michigan, rapidly approaching Williamsburg, Michigan. Running a little errands today. Not that Traverse City has any suburbs, but if they did, Acme and Williamsburg would be the suburbs, and along with another little town called Graylickville. Not really a town, but actually part of Traverse City, sort of, kind of, although different zip codes. Speaking of zip codes, just found out last night we're getting 2 new zip codes in the Traverse City area, so we're going to go from, actually not really 2 new ones. I should say we're getting 1 new one and 1 weird one. Traverse City used to have 2 zip codes, east and west zip codes, separated by a road or a street in the middle of town. If you were west of that street, you had 1 zip code, and if you're east of that street, you had another zip code. And then they had a weird setup where all the post office boxes had a 3rd zip code, no matter which post office it was at. So if it was at the east side post office or the west side post office, you'd still have the same zip code for your P.O. box that was different than the other 2 for the town. Well, they changed their methodology, and so now they've got it in quadrants. And they took the post office box zip code and made that one of the quadrants. So where my folks live, out west of town, they're going to get the same, what do you call it, zip code as what the post office boxes used to be. And luckily, we don't have to change zip codes where I live, so that's good. And then south of town, they're going to have, south of us, they're going to have a completely new zip code. And it really doesn't matter in the big scheme of things, because it just doesn't matter, but it's interesting. When I grew up, we just had 1 zip code for the whole town and the surrounding area that was serviced by that post office. And like I said, now they upped that to 4. But that's all right. So anyway, just driving along here, actually driving into the sun. It's been rather snow-free, I should say. I was going to say it's been rather warm, but it's not warm during the night. In fact, it's probably not above freezing right now. It's 8:30 in the morning. But it gets warm during the day, warm by our standards. Should get into the low 50s, or at least the high 40s today. And it's been, 50s, 40s, 50s, and a couple of days in the 60s the last couple of weeks. So that's pretty much done away with our snow. Every once in a while, you'll see in some dark corner behind a building or something where the snowplows had piled it up, you'll see a little bit of snow left, but it doesn't really look much like snow. It looks like dirt piles with a little bit more white in them than normal. So that being the case, I officially proclaim this spring. Even though spring was official a couple days ago, it happened a couple weeks before it should have. So now I'm in Williamsburg, just about to pass the stupendous Turtle Creek Casino. Actually, it is a pretty cool casino. I wouldn't say it's as big and fancy as the Vegas casinos, but the casino floor, I would say, rivals, some of the mid-sized properties in Vegas. And, they got everything that Vegas has as far as gaming. And Michigan just passed a law a little while back, and starting May 1st, the casino is going to be the only place you can go have a smoke inside, except for in your house. And, well, of course, tobacco shops. I don't know. They exempted tobacco shops, casino, gaming floors, and that's about it. Pretty much anywhere else, even hotel rooms. Supposedly, you're not going to be able to smoke in a hotel room in Michigan. And bars, restaurants, everything. I guess that's a good thing. I need to quit the little bit of smoking I do. Always like to go out on a Friday night or whatever to our local hangout and smoke a couple cigars and drink a couple beers and all that. Well, I guess that'll just give me another excuse yet another excuse or reason to quit. So that's probably what I'll do. But that starts May 1st. So we got a little over a month left of smokers' freedom here. And whether I smoked or not, I still think it should be completely up to the business owner, whether or not to allow smoking. They say, well, it's a workplace thing, the business or the employees, they don't have a choice. And, well, yeah, they do. They don't have to work in a place that has smoking. And besides that, how many bartenders and or waitresses do you know that don't smoke? All right, well, I'm sure there's a lot, but I'm going to hazard a guess that the I don't know about vast majority, but there's more smokers in the food service and bar employee scene than there is in the general population. And same thing with bar patrons. There's more smokers than not. Let me see if I can get out in this traffic without getting killed. Okay. All right. There we go. And hopefully the guy behind me doesn't accelerate too ridiculously fast because he pulled out just slightly before I did. Oh, well. I just have to deal with it because I pulled out. And since I'm driving my old beater, well, heck, two out of our three vehicles are beaters, and I got lots more about that later. I've been fighting off another case of car fever, but I think last night at work, while I kept thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it, I think my car fever broke again, and I'm not positive, so who knows, might still be looking. But been looking for the last couple of weeks, and what I find is, I'm looking for used cars. I'm not buying a new car. I'm not leasing a car, although that thought had crossed my mind too, because this Toyota had come out with a super duper deal on leasing. Probably because of all their bad publicity, they're trying to move cars, but they're, and then I got to thinking, lease, what the hell would I want to do that for? You pay payments and then you don't get nothing to show for it. And then I thought, I'll just buy a used car, this, that, and the other. And I don't know, just what I found, there's a couple of them I was interested in. Was interested in an 03 Audi Allroad Quattro, which was, had the 2.7 liter twin turbo engine, and thought, wow, that'd be really nice. Took it for a ride and, fell in love with it. And they didn't want, a ridiculous amount of money for it. And I kind of was curious, well, geez, why is it so cheap? And then I got to reading about it, and, they're a great car. Awesome car. But they have those two turbos in them, and the two turbos tend to leak oil. And when a turbo leaks oil, it can starve itself of oil and self-destruct. And when a turbo self-destructs on that car, not only do you have to replace the one turbo, but you got to replace the other turbo, because usually pieces from the one that broke somehow get into the other one, and even if that isn't the case, the other one was probably leaking too. And that supposedly happens about every 80,000 miles or so. And to change those turbos, you have to remove the engine and transmission. It all comes out as one piece. And then once it's out, it takes about 6 hours to change the turbo or the turbos on the engine, and then you got to put the engine all back in. And not to mention, each of the turbos is around $1,500. So that quickly made me decide that, even if that didn't have to be done right away, that's just sort of ridiculous. $6-7 at a shop, or a good weekend of knuckle busting, and that's just not a great plan. So I nixed that idea. Then I thought, well, there's a couple of Camrys around. This Camry that I'm currently driving in, it's been a great car. So, maybe I'll just get another Camry. And I looked around, and they come in two varieties. They come in lease returns, which are up around $14,000, $15,000, $16,000 for a car with 20 or 30,000 miles, or they come in ragged out. Well, I already got a ragged out Camry. I don't really need another one. So, I don't know. I guess if I'm going to do it, I'm just going to go slow and find a deal. But it's looking at this point where I don't really think I'm going to do that. And part of it was, my wife got a new job, and her new job requires her to travel. And, she's got a big old Cadillac Escalade, which, doesn't get the best gas mileage, but it is a pretty reliable truck and all that, and she loves driving it. But we were thinking, I'll get something with a little bit better gas mileage, and then I got to thinking about that, and I thought, well, geez, they're going to give her 50 cents a mile or whatever for her traveling. Well, that more than pays for gas on that. We don't owe anything on it, so we don't have to worry about a payment. And, the upkeep on it, we'll have that regardless. So, why do that? And as far as I was concerned with this Camry, I got 210,000 miles or so on it, and it's going to take a few bucks to keep it running, but golly, that's a lot cheaper than a car payment, or $15,000 for a replacement. And so then I got to thinking, why don't I just, when I need to take a long trip, I'll just go ahead and rent a car. So I figured out, all right, well, I'm going to be making a trip to Ohio in May, down to Dayton. It's a 3-day trip. And then I thought, well, okay, what would it cost me to rent a car? And I'm not talking about renting, a little Chevy Aveo or a Hyundai or Kia or whatever the hell they want, the cheap one is. Let me rent something comparable to what I'm used to driving, like a Camry or a Ford Fusion or something like that. Well, even bumping it up to that, it's, 20-something a day. Enterprise rent-a-car. I'm sure that's the only one. That was the cheap one. I went to Thrifty rent-a-car, and that's a joke. But anyway, figured, okay, even if I rented the thing for 4 days to go to Ohio, it comes with unlimited mileage. And, it's $80-something. Well, only do that, at most once a month, but it's usually less than that I do anything like that, where I need to take it long distance. So it'd be a way better deal to pay $80 every once in a while than, get wrapped up into a $300 a month car payment. So I don't know. I still haven't thought it through. A new car would be nice. Everybody wants a new car, but I don't really think I need one. Got 2 beaters. Got this in the old truck. We've talked about that lots of times before, but the old truck doesn't have that many miles on it. It's a little ugly, but in a pinch I could take that on a long trip. Wouldn't bother me too much. But I don't know. So the jury's still out, but it's looking like my fever has broke. And hopefully I'll keep my ink pen away from any car deals. And just figure I'll drive the Camry till it dies, and when it dies, then I'll look for a car. There's always deals around. There's no hurry. And, as long as I drive this one around locally and, maybe short trips, if it breaks, it breaks. Just won't drive it in the winter downstate or anything, because I hate to be out in the middle of nowhere and break down and, wouldn't freeze to death, but it might be a while before somebody gets there with a warm car. And around here, that can be a problem in the winter. But in the summertime, I'm even toying with the idea if I get some new summer tires for this car, I might still take it down to Ohio. What the hell? If worst comes to worst, I can throw the title on the seat and at the junkyard and have enough to buy a bus ticket home. So I don't know. We'll see. So that's what my thinking is here lately. Anyway, I gotta make a stop here, and likely I'll insert a song in. Don't know what it is yet. I'll tell you what it is on the other side. And I'll probably be in the studio for the next segment. At least that's the plan. But I want to get a little more use out of this mobile rig. Like I said, I built it all up and got it sounding the way I wanted it to, or at least close, and just haven't really used it much. So I'm gonna use that more. I can add a couple of pieces to this mobile rig at some point. I'm gonna add a mixer in, and if I have my MacBook out, maybe I'll do some on location stuff where I do my whole podcast music and all from maybe sitting on the beach in along Lake Michigan when it's nice out, or maybe go up on Sleeping Bear Dunes, or who knows. Oh, get a little ham radio action in the background, but I guess I can turn that off. Anyway, I turn the whole thing off here and listen to this song. I'm sure it's really good. We'll see you on the other side.
There was a time when nothing stood in between us. Now there's a curve in the road so sharp it'll make you bleed. We don't talk, we just punch the clock. Can't find each other in the same old gridlock. Maybe a little escape, what we need. Living your love and your work like a dog every morning. The city's a pain like the latte stain on your dress. Get in the van before you break down. It don't cost a dime to leave this town. Get on the road cause we gotta get out of this mess. So let's drive away. Let the sunlight chase us all day. Nothing gonna stand in our way, yeah. Let's drive away. and I took it for granted. A bump in the road, not really a part of the drive. Come on, Kiwanis, it's alright. You made me believe tonight. It's love that makes it so damn good to be alive. Oh, so let's drive away. Let the sunlight chase us all day. Nothing gonna stand in our way, yeah. Let's drive away. But I gotta get going. There's gotta be more than the coffee shops and the bar. Maybe it's too late. Maybe, baby, it's just fate. Maybe you'll take my hand and we'll get in the car. Whoa, 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 so let's drive away. Let the sunlight chase us all day.
And that, of course, was a classic from my friend Matthew Ebel called Drive Away. You can find that over at music.mevio.com, or I think it's called musicalley.com now for legal reasons. It used to be the PodSafe Music Network, but I think Apple kind of warned them that PodSafe wasn't a good thing to say because the word pod. Anyway, okay. Now, my question is: are they going to sue the feminine hygiene companies for using the word pad now that the iPad is coming out? Anyway, that's a whole nother subject, and I'm not going to get into that. But anyway, that was Matthew, and like I said, that was probably the most popular PodSafe tune. Or one of the most popular. I think Brother Love had one that was as popular, and maybe we'll play that too. I'm feeling really nostalgic for podcasting. One of the prodigal sons of podcasting has returned, as I last week played the little promo that Trucker Tom had made up for the return of the daily source code with Adam Curry. And it just, made me real nostalgic for the good old days of podcasting. Okay, podcasting's not that old, but but in late 2004, I discovered Adam Curry. I don't know as Adam Curry was the first podcast I listened to, but he was right there amongst the first podcasts that I listened to. Of course, I listened to Trucker Tom, and I listened to one called Podcast 411, which Rob Welsh, another friend of mine, does or did. It's not officially pod faded, but it ain't there no more, or at least he hasn't done one in a really long time. He does a show now called Today an iPhone, or This Week an iPhone, or something to do with iPhones, iPads, and iPod Touches. But anyway, that that's the one that is active that he does. But anyway, let's see, what was the other first podcasts that I listened to? There was one called The Daily Download. That was basically somebody taking a crap and podcasting while they did that nearly daily. I don't believe that one's still in existence, but I'm not listening to it anymore anyway. And but one of the first PodSafe artists that I ever heard was Matthew Ebel, and of course Kevin Reeves, and I don't know, a bunch of them. Kevin Reeves, by the way, lives here in Traverse City. In fact, or lives near Traverse City, lives in Lake Ann, where I used to live when I did the Benzoid Report, and since changed it to Mike Dell's World. But anyway, last week, Jim Farley of Musical World and the What's Up With That podcast, which we haven't done in a really long time, but we're going to get back to it at some point. But Jim Farley had breakfast with Kevin Reeves. I would have gone out there, but it didn't work out where I got out of work in time. It was Friday, but I did end up having dinner with Jim and his wife and my folks and my sister and my wife, and we all had a good time over at Sheldy's. But anyway, Kevin Reeves is one of the PodSafe musicians that pretty much was there from the beginning. But I'd like to at some point have a interview with Kevin, so hopefully he'll let me do that. Rumor has it he's moving out of the area again. He grew up around here and, moved back a few months ago, and has been performing around the area. In fact, I'm going to have to go check him out. He's going to be at Poppycock's here. It's a place downtown Traverse City on Front Street. I think pretty soon here. I don't know. I don't have his schedule up in front of me, but anyway. And of course, I am back in the studio. I don't know if I mentioned that. The first part there was from the car. Recorded earlier this morning as I ran a few errands. I had to go out to Williamsburg and through Acme and a few places like that. But, okay, what did I get? But anyway, yeah, it was the reason I'm feeling so nostalgic is because of Adam Curry. He's coming around, coming back to his roots as a podcaster. For a long time, the company Mevio, before that they were called Pod Show. They were all about podcasting, and they sort of drifted off their mission. In my humble opinion, audio podcasting is where it's at. There's a place for video podcasting, and there's certainly several successful video podcasts, but the root of podcasting has always been audio. And Adam, he never really got out of podcasting altogether. He kind of suspended the daily source code for a year or so while he went through his divorce and all that. But, he was talking about some of the stuff they've learned with the Mevio/Pod Show company, and Mevio's kind of drifted towards online video, and that's, working out for them. But, they've drifted away from the creative part of podcasting and audio podcasting. And Adam, I'm sure he's fine on video. I mean, that's where he had his most high profile job was, being a video disc jockey on, or what do they call that, a video jockey or a VJ on MTV. But, MTV doesn't do that anymore. And, anyway. So it's really good to see that he's back, and, hopefully he'll talk about podcasting and all that too. It's like, audio podcasting, it's not growing by leaps and bounds, but it's still there, And I really don't want to do video myself. I do record Geek of the North, my Geek of the North podcast. I record it on Ustream on video, and that's just fine. But, I got to admit, it's pretty lame video. It's me sitting in my basement talking into a microphone. I mean, there's a lot better videos out there than that. And I just heard last night at work there, I was listening to Trucker Tom's latest podcast, and, he was talking about all the downloads that he gets for, his HD video content. But, I really need to email him, because that's not an accurate statistic that he's looking at, but that's a whole other story. But I'd hate to see somebody that's so good at audio podcasting go strictly to video. And with Adam Curry coming back, it was great. He sort of explained what happened during his absence on the Daily Source Code, and talked a little bit about the divorce and all that. And well, of course, that's his side of it, and I'm sure his wife or ex-wife or whatever her status is right now, Patricia, has a whole different story. And you can take both stories with a grain of salt, I'm sure, but we'll probably never hear Patricia's side of it. But it's good to see that he's getting back into it. Hopefully he'll stick with it. He said he was going to do it 1 or 2 times a week, and I really do hope he sticks with it. Adam, whether he invented podcasting or not, of course, that's in debate. And, of course, there's the big controversy about him editing his Wikipedia page, which, he claims to not have known that was not ethical or whatever. But, regardless, he had a good hand in making podcasting happen and making podcasting popular. And like I said, that just makes me all nostalgic. Like I said, that's about all I can think about, as far as, good to hear the Daily Source Code back. I'm not real crazy about all the music he plays, but, then again, I'm sure you're not real crazy about all the music I play. And, but hopefully my content is compelling enough, and kind of like to follow along in what I'm doing, and I'd like to follow along in what you guys are doing. So, hey, by the way, drop me a line, 231-715-1366, and might play your comment on the air, or, just give me your opinion, or make a comment over at MikeDell.com or geekofthenorth.com. I'm not hard to get a hold of, so tell me what you think. And speaking of music, whoops, I just banged the mic arm here. See, I'm dangerous in the studio. As I said from the car there, kind of looking forward to this summer, maybe doing some portable podcasting from the beach, or from some hilltop somewhere, or back in the woods somewhere. Makes it easier to think. Being surrounded with all this technology, especially when I run into it. Anyway, I'm going to play a song from Leftover Salmon. What a name for a group. But anyway, I'm going to play their song, Steam Powered Airplane. And we'll catch you after the song here.
Steam-powered airplane. Well, we went right up and down and side and back again. sunshine in his way, yeah. Rather be sitting in the high over Kansas City. And genuine old-fashioned all things deep out go round the river and back again. I was sitting in 747 just watching them clouds roll by. You can't tell if sunshine if it's rain. We'll be sitting in a deck chair high over Kansas City in a genuine old-fashioned all things deep out
You're listening to Mike on Mike Dell's World, a show about nothing.
This podcast is part of the Blueberry Network. Find freshly picked podcasts just for you at blueberry.com. That's blueberry, no ease.com.
Well, another interesting thing, at least to me. Wow. Got some variable audio levels here. Sorry about that. I'll level it all out before I release it, so never mind. Anyway, another interesting thing, at least to me, is we finally got some cable television. Now, we had minimal cable, because we had the cable internet here, but we only signed up for the $15 a month local channels package, and of course I've been watching the local channels on the antenna in HD around here, so we hardly ever used it. But cable company called, and of course my wife answered the phone and talked to them, and anyway they come up with some deal where we actually are paying $10 less for our monthly cable bill for the next 6 months, and then it'll be about $10 more than we were paying. But it all evens out. And the upshot of that is now I've got all the expanded basic channels. So now I have Discovery Channel again. I've got History Channel. I've got TLC. I've got Fox News and CNN and all that stuff here at the house again. And not that that's a great thing. Whoops. Hey, got a phone call here. I'm going to hit pause. Okay, that was Kathy calling. She threw her back out about a week ago, and she's been going to the chiropractor a couple times, and that didn't work. So she went to the real doc, and it's just muscle spasms. So they got her on a treatment plan there that she gets to take drugs, and hopefully that'll fix it. But anyway, I was talking about the cable there. It's kind of nice, actually, having all those channels again. Some of the shows on there, though, are something else. One of them that I found that I liked, that I've been watching, last few days, is American Pickers. I don't know if anybody else is. Like I said, this is all new to me. I haven't had cable in 3 years, or I haven't had, all these cable channels in 3 years, but that one's on the History Channel, and, I'm kind of a history buff, and it's really, really neat to, how people hoard stuff, and of course, yeah, there's another show I saw, it was Hoarders, but I don't quite get the gist of that one yet. But anyway, this American Pickers, they find these people that have all this collection of stuff. Some people would say junk, but lots of stuff, and it's really interesting, especially what the history of items is kind of interesting. But this American Pickers, they drive around in a Sprinter van, which kind of got an affinity for somehow, because Sprinters are pretty popular in the expedited trucking industry, and for some reason I have a strange interest in expedited trucking, even though I really don't know anybody that's in expedited trucking, with the exception of maybe the Amish trucker. What the heck is his name? Lester. There we go. I think he drives a Sprinter, and I don't think he's really an expedited, but that's what he drives. But anyway, this American Pickers, they drive around and find antiques, and they tell the story about them and all that. But the couple shows that I saw, one of them, they picked up a couple of these old gas pumps, the kind with the glass globes, so you could see what you were getting, and back when gasoline sometimes was dirty. But anyway, they picked up a pair of these things for, I think, $1,000, and then turned around and sold them for, $2,000 or something, all on the same trip, as they were driving around in the South, Louisiana and Mississippi, down in that area. And, they're from Iowa. They own a antique shop somewhere in Iowa, and they find some pretty cool stuff and all that. Another show that I found, or, that I watched, in fact, last night, was called Pawn Stars, and it's a reality type show based out of a pawn shop in Vegas. And the couple of shows that I saw of that looked rather interesting. One of them, guy had an old barber chair from the 40s, and sold it to the guy that owns the shop, and then he took it over to a buddy of his and had it refurbished, and decided that he didn't want to sell it. He was going to put it in his living room. He didn't care what his wife said. Well, that's not good, but it is kind of nice having cable. And the other nice thing about it, and I never thought I would say this, but I'm actually getting interested in NASCAR racing. Although that's a whole nother can of worms that I'll open up later. But I think the whole point system for NASCAR is is a little ridiculous, but, what do I know? But anyway, Fox has NASCAR for the first third of the season, I guess. And then it goes to ESPN. Well, I didn't have ESPN, so, the last couple of summers, I didn't get to see any NASCAR racing until the chase happened for the last 10 races or whatever. And then, if I'm wrong about the number of races, well, it's because I'm not that big of a fan, but, kind of sucked that I didn't get to see any of the races until towards the end. And then it came on ABC, which I had. But now, this year, I'm going to actually be able to watch the ESPN races. So that'll be a good thing. Kind of looking forward to that. Yeah, let's see. Oh, yeah, it started out talking about cars there from the car. I wanted to add a couple of things. I've got this old F-150 pickup. It's not super old, but, it was a 93, so what is that? My gosh, 17 years old? I guess it is an old truck, but anyway, it's got the least amount of miles of any vehicle that we own. Well, not including the motorcycles, which are going out to the curb for sale again soon. So if you know anybody that wants a Harley 883 or a Honda V65 Magna, they're going to be up for sale soon. So contact me if you think you might be interested. But anyway, the old Ford truck is the least mileage vehicle we got, but it's the most rusty. Up here in Michigan, the Rust Belt, vehicles get rusty. The whole sort of the bottom of the cab corners is rusted out, and a little bit around the fenders, the rear fenders of the truck. Otherwise, the truck's in pretty decent shape. And my thought has been the last couple of years that I was going to, fill in the rust holes and somehow neutralize the rust. I've got some stuff. I haven't really done any of that yet. In fact, that might become a video podcast by a friend of mine, John. There, he's thinking about doing a video podcast on keeping old cars running. Well, yeah, I got lots of material for him if he wants to come film me. So, but anyway, thinking about filling in the rust, cleaning it up, doing whatever I got to do, and then painting the bed liner material, that they use for those spray-in bed liners, spraying it on the outside, for like the lower third of the truck all the way around. And, not that that's going to look great, but never really cared what a vehicle looks like. In fact, one of the vehicles I was talking about getting is a Honda Element. Everybody I know says, man, that's an ugly vehicle, but man, they are handy. Anyway, don't get me started again. I'll end up with another bout of car fever. But so one of the things I am going to tackle this year is to at least slow down the rust around the bottom of my Ford truck, because I said it's got 90,000 miles on it. Oh, wait a minute. No, it's got more than that. It just rolled 100,000. I mean, just. That's right. I kind of let it sneak up on me, but it rolled 100,000 this winter. But, the Cadillac's got 120, and the Toyota, like I said, has got around about 210. So, that's the least mileage vehicle we've got. And I figure, if I could slow the rust down a few more years, that'd probably be a worthwhile project. So hopefully my friend John will come over and videotape the steps that I take in HD, and you'll be able to see that at some point somewhere. Maybe he'll just upload it to YouTube, who knows, but but I am going to get some great stuff, foam, and fill in the holes with that, and then probably do a little fiberglass work and and then a little bit of that bedliner material to cover it all up. It won't be perfect, but it'll slow it down, and that's the main issue with that. So, well, anyway, I think I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to play one more song at the end here. I want to let you know, Geek of the North is still going. Kind of skipped last week, but plan on recording that here in a couple of days on Thursday morning. And I usually record that live on Ustream. So if you happen to be around 9:30, 10 o'clock Eastern time, something like that on Thursday, tune into that. And of course, it comes out as on the podcast at geekofthenorth.com. And of course, I've been doing a daily podcast for the whole month of March so far. Haven't missed a day. But that's Today in Aviation History. So if you're interested in what happened in aviation history, and sometimes I go into detailed explanations about certain things that I either know about or read about, go check that out. It's 3 to 5 minutes a day, and some of it's pretty darn interesting. There's some pretty lean days too, so hey, take what you can get, I guess. So anyway, I'm going to play a song that I always like to, I've got several different versions of it. I always like to end my radio show at WNMC with some sort of version of Freebird. And I've played this one before, probably a year or two ago. This is called Taylor's Freebird. It's by Todd Taylor, the world's fastest banjo player. But anyway, I'm going to end up with that, and we will catch you next week. And hope everything is going the way you want it to go.
That's all, folks.